move on to the next thing, so on and so forth.
People want instant gratification these days. It's the
so I can show
That's
you.
exactly right.
I am Butler Eagle Sports writer Derek Pyda, and here with me today are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagle Sports editor Jake Murda Adams. This is Season 2 of the Alter Eagles Eye on Sports.
I'm in like 4 different Slack channels for my side jobs, and the one for Athlon is ridiculous. Like, if you look at it and see everything that's sent in, it's something every single minute. Like, I had to shut the notifications off. If you look at it and like get caught up, you get so overwhelmed. It's like all of this news. You're posting like however 100 many articles a day, hoping that one like hits. It's like,
well, that's the thing too. It's covering on a national scale.
Yeah,
so.
just seeing that though, it's like I have to remove myself sometimes and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna find what I'm gonna write about and not worry about what everybody else is writing about, because if I do that, then it's like my brain goes insane.
I imagine that's like, again, The Athletic, I imagine, is probably a similar newsroom vibe to that. Is they've got everyone covering things from San Francisco to Europe, and probably all those channels are siloed a little bit. But if you were to have all access to all of them, it would be ping, 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 24 hours a day.
I prefer, like, whenever I started Athlon, it was separate teams, and like I was assigned to cover 7 teams, and now it's like a free for all. Anyone can write about anything. It's like you want to find what you can write about each day because there's only 24 hours in a day, but it's like exhausting. Mm-hmm. Just looking at it makes you tired, right, Derek?
I'm tired. I'm tired right now.
So you guys had a better sports weekend than I did, at least.
Right. It wasn't much.
Your Steelers were undefeated last week.
Well, they
and the Pirates are also undefeated last week.
The Pirates are not getting their butts kicked in the playoffs.
Penguins start tonight.
The Steelers didn't play last week, and they gained ground on or increased their lead on everybody because they all lost. So I'm a little nervous. I'll be honest with you, though. Because in the NFL, things can change very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Buffalo this past week.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people would have picked them to lose at home to New England? Everybody's talking about what great position the Steelers are in. They're 3-1. Cincinnati 2-3 now, I believe. Baltimore looks like crap. Cleveland's Cleveland, but things can change, and the injury bug can bite the Steelers just as much as it can hit any other team like Baltimore. So
Tomlin said that they're going to get most of their guys back this week, and even kind of left the door open for
they're
Calvin
gonna
Austin.
They're going to do what?
They're going to get a lot of their injured guys back this week.
Yeah.
Injured. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they left the door open and get Calvin Austin and Jalen Ramsey back, but I doubt Calvin Austin plays. He's very quiet about. He wouldn't even say what his injury was yesterday, but I lost my train of thought there. I forget what I was going to say.
Injuries.
Tomlin.
Oh, it was fun seeing. I have the luxury of having YouTube TV now, so I get to choose which games I watch on Sunday rather than be to the mercy of CBS, like people with cable packages. And like
poors with cable packages.
I don't know what game was on CBS for you on Sunday. Did you watch?
Well, we went to a corn maze and pumpkin patch with Will, but I saw like
it was Ravens.
Ravens Houston.
Yeah.
So, we got Dallas and the Jets.
Really?
Yeah, we got
Up
Dallas
there?
and the Jets. Yeah.
They're not that much farther.
That's
Wow.
weird.
Dallas and the Jets.
That's so weird.
It was the Ravens game, and they actually flipped it to the Eagles game for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I told you guys this in the office yesterday. The Bills. Wow. The Broncos score and then get that 2-point conversion to go up by 1 with like 6 minutes left in the game. And my landlord rings the doorbell because we thought we had a water leak in our basement/garage. So he was coming over to take a look at it. Turns out probably not. Probably just didn't turn the hose off well enough like I thought I did. And it was good timing of him to show up because I just missed the last 6 minutes of them losing that game, and I was already kind of miserable to begin with.
I'd literally say, look, come back in like a half hour.
That would have given me anxiety. I'd have been like, not now.
I already kind of knew it was over because they coughed up a 17.
Go ahead, go look. I don't care.
They already coughed up a 17-3 lead by that point. Like, I don't really much buy into momentum as a serious thing, especially in professional settings, because anytime we say that a team has momentum, well, it's very easily for another team to flip momentum. So how does momentum actually exist? You can just change it. I don't think it's like.
I think momentum is a real thing.
I think
coaches say it's not, players say it's not. Momentum is a real thing.
To me, it's if you say you have momentum, but then suddenly it can be stopped. Then how did you actually have momentum? You know what
You
I mean?
had past tense.
Well, yes,
had.
but momentum implies that it's building. So suddenly it goes from building to stopping. You know what I mean? It's a paradox of the English language.
man.
Do you believe in momentum, Derek?
I think you can go on runs.
He's thinking about it.
Yeah. Well,
Well, a run is the same thing as momentum, isn't it?
Well, no, it just means that you
Just
go
a
on a
different
stretch of success.
Terming.
I think it's a shirt that I have that my wife bought me a few years ago, and it says, "It's a Steelers Sunday. Welcome to our home. Please leave." That's what it says. And
Unless you're gonna
fits
sit
me
and be quiet
perfectly.
and
I
watch
do
the
not
game.
want
the whole
I do not
time.
want to be bothered. You know, if
Like,
you
come in
into
and
the
be
house,
quiet.
be quiet, sit down, shut up until the game's over.
Watch the game. Like,
Yes.
don't ask me some nonsense that has nothing to do with the game.
Yes.
Meanwhile, that was me being relatively calm that day. Like I'm not that crazy. Especially as I've gotten older, I don't go ballistic during games the way I did when I was like 16 years old. And you guys saw this a little bit last night, which is why I wanted to bring up the weekend.
I don't know. We
is-
saw you after the Super Bowl, so
You didn't. 2018, I was more
you came in
rambunctious.
here. You were like,
Well, I also was doing that for show, Laura. Come on, I was doing that for show, for content. But you guys saw a glimpse of what I can sometimes be like watching playoff Phillies baseball, which is I've decided over this weekend, playoff baseball is more stressful than playoff football when it's your team involved, because I don't know what it is. I think part of it for me is because the Phillies were the first team that I loved as a small child. I was more into baseball at 5-6 years old than I was football. So I always have that like extra little bit of passion for that team. But I don't know. There's just something about baseball that I feel is more frustrating in the moment, because every little pitch is like, okay, why did you swing at this one that was 3 inches off the plate? Why did you not swing at this one that was right down the middle? Why did you throw that ball in the dirt? Why did you miss that fly ball? Like all those little things. Whereas in football, because all the action is a bunch of bigger actions or a bunch of actions colliding into one, instead of baseball where it's one singular action leads to another singular action, et cetera, et cetera. Like football, you can excuse a lot of this stuff of just like human variability. Whereas baseball, it's the pitcher made or didn't make the pitch. The hitter swung or didn't swing and made a decision, good or bad. And it's so much more frustrating to watch in the moment.
Jake, at one point in your life, did you sit down and tell all this to a psychiatrist?
I was just gonna say. Have
Were you
talked to
sitting on a
someone?
leather couch somewhere?
This
He
has
was
not
laying
come up in my
down,
therapy
looking at the
sessions. No,
ceiling.
I go over other things in therapy sessions, but
I keep seeing the word action in my dreams.
I mean it's
Action Jackson.
football is like basketball and hockey more, and that everything's moving around at once. Baseball literally has to start with a pitch being made, and nothing can happen unless that ball is put into play after that. Everything is a sequence of events, whereas in football, hockey, and basketball, everything is
A
events
conglomeration.
going on at the same time. So you can
Tennis,
hyper focus
soccer.
on. Fair, okay. Well,
Sorry, my brain just went to other sports.
you're
right, but
you're
I
right.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
ignoring the other sports. I was bringing up
I know
those
you're not.
as
Sorry.
examples. Lauren's just trying to undercut me on everything today. But yeah, I don't know. You saw me a little bit last night. I was trying to be somewhat reserved, and then the ninth inning happened, and I was just like, "Don't you do this to me!" And they did it, and then they lost anyway.
I think this is coming from someone who's gotten used to postseason football success, and meanwhile, you and I are watching the Ravens and Derrick Henry literally step on the Steelers' faces last year. So I would argue that football is much more stressful, being that it's one game, one drive could kind of kill your season.
And Derek, you have the most baseball postseason watching experience of the two of you as a Pirates fan.
Well,
So-
I remember the early 90s.
Yeah. So do you, at that age, do you remember like how invested were you in the outcome of every pitch, inning, game when those teams were good?
Oh, incredibly. I mean, I've said this. I mean, if some higher power said I could only watch one team the rest of my life, like literally, I had to pick one team, it would be the Steelers. But the hardest loss I've ever had to swallow as a sports fan was the Pirates in the '92 NLCS. I mean, they were up 2-0 to the Braves, 3 outs away from playing Toronto in the World Series, and the Braves scored 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth. Francisco Cabrera, who had literally, I mean, we could look this up. I think he had literally maybe 100 hits in his career, and up to that point, maybe 30. Comes to the plate with 2 outs and hits a 2-run single to win the game. So, and I went to bed I told this to John a long time ago because I've known John for over 20 years. I was only 14 years old. You got to remember this. I was still, I wasn't an adult. I went to bed that night.
Wasn't all there.
I went to bed that night not caring if I woke up in the morning. I'm glad
you said that before.
I'm
you
glad I did in
before.
retrospect, but
So I
at the
remember
time,
editing it.
I remember hitting the pillow, my head hitting the pillow that night, and I said, I don't care if I wake up in the morning. Literally. I honestly remember thinking that.
Teenagers are irrational
Well,
with our sports.
I'm glad I
We've already
did,
talked
but
about
that
that.
that
Yes,
loss
of
was
course.
still.
I think the Steelers lost to the Ravens last year. It was the first time where I watched a playoff game and I was like, they deserve to lose, so I'm not upset about it. Like,
yeah, but the Ravens.
they had no reason to win that game. So
I'm a firm believer, and I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't care if it's a playoff game, a regular season game. The team that wins the game deserves to win the game. The team that loses the game deserves to lose. That's the way I look at it. So,
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the Steelers got outplayed, but had they lost 34-31 on a 50-yard field goal, I'd still say they deserve to lose. You want to win the game, go out and win it.
I'm having deja vu right now.
Yeah, we've had similar.
I literally
we talked
feel
about
like
this a little bit.
what just happened before.
So
this time last year, it's kind of
I
crazy.
want
Crazy. I'm
to
gonna
bring
find
this
it.
up for a second. I pulled up Francisco Cabrera's stats. Derek, you are scary. He had 89 career hits
I said 100.
and 351 at bats.
But you know what?
That's a win. Like
That's the trivia question. Forget your trivia question. I got it.
Look at Brendan's face. Brendan's like, that's not how this works. I'm taking you down.
That's one thing I love about sports is just for a regular fan. Like if you're a baseball fan on the West Coast and you like the Giants or the Dodgers, Francisco Cabrera is just, many people have never heard of him. It's a guy who had 89 career hits in his career, but because of one hit, he will be forever loved in Atlanta. I mean, they love him down there because of one hit.
So where I wanted to get to with this conversation, with me talking about my miserable, no good, very bad weekend of sports, was you guys, I think for the first time, witnessed what I can be like in a playoff situation, like watching a game. So what were your takeaways? Because we've talked about you guys before and how you kind of react to stuff, and I've seen little bits and pieces of this, but I've generally kept a lot of my own reactions close to the vest outside of what we talk about sometimes on the show or me saying how I reacted on a Sunday. But you guys actually witnessed it now.
I was gonna say to tone it down some, joking around, but then I remembered the college football playoff semifinal and Ohio State's playing Texas, and Jack Sawyer goes and makes that play, and I ran around the newsroom yelling. So if I can be happy with the outcome of a game, you can be upset. I wasn't gonna keep you from that. It didn't help me or didn't affect my focus on the work I was doing. So have at it.
I thought you were kind of hard on your Phillies, to be honest with you. I mean, like bad mouthing them. And of course, if they would have pulled it out, you would have been like, rah, 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 let's go Phillies. But look, were you in the office last year at all for a Steelers game when I was here?
I don't think so.
I don't think not this coming.
Would you have head off that Browns Steelers game, the Thursday night game?
I think you did.
I was off.
You were
Yeah.
off, so was I.
So, not this coming game against Cleveland on Sunday, but the following game, which is a Thursday night game against Cincinnati, you will be in the office with me.
That's true. I will, because Brendan's going to be off.
And
that
I
night.
just want to, I'm able, and I'm surprised I can say this. I'm able to kind of tone it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm at home, there's stuff being thrown. The dog's crying. It's scared.
Oh my
my
goodness.
But if I'm in the office and the game's going on, I just kind of like, okay, I'm in the office. I have to tone it down. I still want everything to go well just as much as if I was sitting at home watching the game. But it'll be toned down. I won't be like screaming, yelling.
Yeah.
Beth could tell you sometimes. I mean, I go nuts, and it's not like I'm trying to show off. Back when I was a bachelor, which seems like I was for about 50 years, I'd be sitting at home in my apartment in Butler, and I knew nobody was listening to me, but I was still going nuts, yelling at the TV, throwing stuff.
I'm much more subdued in the regular season. Like I have a couple moments watching the Eagles where I'm like, what are we doing here? Like bad plays or like, they score touchdowns. Like, okay, cool. Awesome. But it's playoffs where I get a little bit more animated. I think that's all of us though. Like when the games matter even more, I think all three of us are more animated at home.
Let me ask you this, and I know it's kind of hard because you're a fan of a team that is actually good, contrary to what you would say, but put yourself in a position of a Pirate fan.
Mm-hmm.
What would your mentality, what would your mindset be knowing their situation, knowing how everybody wants the owner to be out and he's not going out, he's staying put? I mean, how would you approach even the season, like when you know, unless God's hand comes down and says, Pittsburgh Pirates, you're going to be great this year, which never happens.
Okay, so you're asking, like, effectively another version of the question is, how would I react to going into a season in which the Phillies are not expected to do anything?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
having the season play out where they don't do anything.
To me, it's what are the expectations going in, and I generally kind of match that. Like the mid 2010s was coming off of the Cole Hamels, Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins years, Roy Halladay in the later couple years of that, and they just sucked for a long time. They tried to be contenders for a few years after that run and made a bunch of boneheaded decisions in the front office to try to sign players and not draft certain players and whatnot to keep a window open that had very clearly closed instead of like move forward with everything. And then once they finally realized after 4 or 5 years of that it wasn't working, then they shifted into rebuild. And because they had waited too long, it was going to be a long time to rebuild because they had nothing to trade away to try to stock the farm system or get better draft picks or anything. So they had to start kind of from scratch, which means like actually bottoming out to actually get better. So for a good chunk of that time, I wasn't really watching a whole lot of Phillies. And that's also the period of my life where I am, starting my career, getting deeper involved with that stuff. Mallory and I start dating, we move in together, and then we move, multiple times out west and stuff like that. It wasn't until Louisville where the Phillies were actually surprisingly good again. And they made that run to the World Series that I didn't expect. And that run was very fun to me because like I went in, they made the playoffs, like, great, cool. We made the playoffs for the first time in almost 10 years. This is fun and awesome. And the night that Mallory and I got engaged was the night that the Phillies went up got the third win in the NLCS against the Braves. So like that was a really fun day for me all around. I just enjoyed that run for what it was. They lose the World Series to a clearly superior Astros team in 5 games. It's like, all right, good run. Let's see what happens going forward. Same thing kind of with the Eagles last year. Last year going in, I did not expect. I was like, they need to make the playoffs. This roster is good enough to make the playoffs. I did not expect Super Bowl run. So when they get to it, yeah, we talked about this after the Super Bowl that day. Like, I in part was firing Sirianni on Sundays and on this show because they started poorly and I was frustrated with it. And then they kept winning. It's like, so then it became a bit of just every week I'm going to fire him every time they make bonehead decisions, but still win by 20. And I'm going to do that throughout the rest of the season. But I didn't expect them to do anything. So it was really fun when they did it. Now this season, this is a team that is one of the best teams on paper. I'm not saying they have to win a Super Bowl for it to be a good year, but they've got to play better than what they're playing, consistently better. Like I don't expect this team to go 17-0. I'm not surprised that they're 4-1. It's just been frustrating watching the way they've gotten to 4-1. It feels like they could easily be 2-3.
I got you. I want to go back to one thing you said about the Phillies realizing that what they were doing wasn't working, so they basically bottomed out. But they bottomed out with an objective and a goal in mind.
Yeah.
The Pirates bottom out just because that's what they do.
Yeah,
and they stay there.
but
Jack Sawinski hit what, $110 this year,
and hit a game-winning home run in
Yes.
like the second last game of the season.
Yeah.
The 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s Phillies are probably the closest to the current Pirates experience that I can relate to. But I was also kind of like not old enough to really grasp it. Like my reality was just the Phillies are bad. That's all the Phillies were for 16 years of my life. So you just kind of go, oh, this is what baseball is in my house, because you couldn't watch other games really unless they were on ESPN and we'd turn it on that night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if the expectations are whatever the expectations are going into the season is where my mentality is. If I expect the team to be better, then I'm going to hold them to a higher standard. If I expect them to be a sub 500 team, I'm watching to see, like, do we have anyone interesting, like making a leap? Is there, I'm just looking for progress or something like that. Is there something of entertainment value for me?
Well, Paul Skeens is good, but we know he's going to be gone in a few years.
Yeah, so every 5 days you guys got something to watch, which would be what I would do.
Right.
I would be watching Skeens games, but nothing else.
Speaking of entertainment value, this Friday, I think you guys, we'll see if you agree with me. It was the best Friday night in terms of games coming down to the wire,
Yeah.
exciting games, the best week all season for high school football. Brendan, we're going to start with you. Friday night, what were your takeaways?
I was up at Butler for the second time this year. This time, tried to focus a bit more on the game rather than the overarching theme. And the game delivered. It was one that it wasn't back and forth because University only took the lead once, and then Butler kind of came back and took control on a throw that I gave that to you in the newsletter last night, I think, Jake. So Nico Baguetta had an insane throw on the run. He started by rolling out left, got to the sideline, realized there was nothing open. When I talked to Coach Chris, he said it was a mesh play. So you see on Madden where they're crossing, and there's nothing there for him. He reverses course, stays away from the defensive lineman, and on the run, like, doesn't miss a stride, just zips a ball. Like, I'm talking like this thing was whistling into Nash Cuffman's hand. He slid, and he kind of, before he threw the ball, he directed him, told him to go to the pylon. He slides on his knees. He skinned his knees catching the ball. But Nico Baguetta, a feature's coming on him later this week that I really enjoyed writing last night. We've talked about and written about how tough he is, all the way back to media day with his teammates talking. And there were a few quotes yesterday that didn't make the story that really stood out to me. He has a very odd throwing motion for a quarterback. Like, it seems like he's kind of picking up the ball. It's like throwing a javelin, and he's a very good javelin thrower. So his dad said he's always thrown that way too. I talked to his dad last night. And Nico told him that he trained with former Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions quarterback Mike McMahon, who Jake doesn't remember.
And this is peak, like, my fandom.
He's now North Catholic's
Mid-2000s.
offensive coordinator too. He trains quarterbacks, but that quarterback coach and offensive coordinator McMahon told Baguetta that he throws like Jalen Hurts, and I figured Jake might like that. With
Don't know if that's a good thing or
Nico
not.
said, "quote I throw exactly like he does." And he won the Super Bowl, so that's like my thing. Say whatever you want, but the dude that just won the Super Bowl, I throw like him. And it's funny because
I like that.
this kid, whenever he takes off his helmet, he's insanely nice, very well spoken, just seems like a very mild mannered guy. He puts on the helmet, and this is what he said when he played basketball. If someone started fighting me for the ball when he was rebounding, or if they got the ball, I'm not even kidding, I'd just lay out and spear them. The amount of tackles I made in basketball is outstanding. And he plays middle linebacker and quarterback. He plays quarterback like a running back, where Coach Christie told me yesterday that he doesn't step out of bounds, and he did a few weeks ago instead of taking a hit, and him and an assistant coach, Christie, an assistant coach, high-fived and hugged. Because, like, he's finally getting it. He doesn't have to take a beating every play. But I find it really funny. I try to say this in the story, like, there's this rough and tumble side to him, but there's also this side where he comes off the field and signs a kid who had been waiting the whole game for his cast to get signed by Nico, signs his cast after the game on Friday night, which I didn't see, but his dad told me a story, and it's just really cool. Like, he's a very mature kid. He's one of the leaders for the team, and a big part of why they won there on Friday night.
So he's a fierce competitor, but he's got a teddy bear side to him.
I'm not sure he'd love if he called it that, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I cover enough
Teddy
track
bear.
in the spring that he could very easily have one of his javelin throws kind of go off target and spear me in the shin or the backside. So yeah,
That
not a
would
teddy.
not feel great.
I just remember seeing it. The only football game I covered last year was against Alderdice, I think, on Thursday night, and that was the game that he kind of saw his first extended action at quarterback. I remember walking up to him afterwards, and he was, a sophomore? And in my head, I'm just sitting there going, this kid's more ripped than I could ever imagine being in my life. And he's he's 15, 16 years old. I'm twice his age.
He's only a junior, correct?
That's what he
Wow.
said, actually, that all of the weightlifting in the offseason, he hardly ever misses. All of the dieting, he watches what he eats, except for the donuts on Saturday mornings. I joked with him about that. But he said that the payoff for all of that work is running people over during games. So his dad enjoys watching it. Coach Christie probably wishes he didn't run kids over as much or embrace that contact as much, but it makes for a very enjoyable watch.
Nico, credit to you for sticking to that diet because I'm on a seafood diet. I see it and then I eat it. So anybody that can control what they
Laura.
eat, I've always had trouble with that.
Hit the button.
Boo.
What button am I hitting?
Just the womp womp.
Thank you. All right, Jake, since I was at a game, I'm going to I'm going to give you my thoughts, and then we're going to go to you because you were in the pilot chair last week. Seneca Valley, I was the only one to pick them last week, as you know. Facing, mathematically, they still have a playoff shot, but realistically, considering that Central Catholic and North Allegheny are at the back end of their schedule in a few weeks, I really thought that if they were going to have a realistic shot at making the playoffs, they were going to have to win Friday down in Cannonsburg. And it was about 8 minutes left. They're up by 10. I'm like, all right. Hey, you were making fun of me. I said, hey, I'm going to stick it to Brendan here. And Cannon McMillan scores a touchdown to cut it to 3. Kickoff to Seneca Valley. I believe they went 3 and out, so they had to punt it right back. When me and Jake were talking about this before the show today, I don't know if you saw my story, Brendan. Seneca Valley had given up 35 rushing yards on 24 attempts until late in the game, and this kid for Cannon McMillan rips off a 46-yard run. He ran for more yards on one run than Cannon McMillan had tallied up to that point, and that put him up 33-29. There was actually still time left on the clock, but Seneca Valley drove to, I think it was like the 40-yard line of the Big Macs, and that's where their drive fizzled on a couple drop passes and some penalties. But again, it was like that game I covered a few weeks ago where Slippery Rock was up 20-7 at the half over Grove City and ended up losing. I mean, victory was there. I mean, it was right there, but they just could not come up with a big stop when they had to. Great performances. I mean, Caden Parker, Seneca running back, scored a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, ran for 131 yards. Andrew Lobig came up with some big plays, actually 3 for 3 touchdowns in the game. But you hear coaches talk all the time. Sometimes we need to find a way to close games out. And Seneca Valley obviously had trouble doing that last week. We've had a number of teams this year that we could say that about. But tough loss for them. And I think they play at Hempfield this week. I think it's a winnable game for them. But I think last week's when we look back, last week's loss is going to kind of be the seal on them not making the playoffs, even though they are still mathematically in it.
Random fact for you, and if any coaches want to slap me some money and suggest what games I should cover,
Please don't.
The local teams that I've covered this year have all won their games. I have not had to write about a team losing yet.
Well, go down to Hempfield this week. Seneca Valley needs that win. They need it badly.
Well, in terms of my picks, that would help me out, but.
So, you were talking to intro this segment that it was an entertaining week, and I just looked at the scores. 5 of the 10 local games we had were decided by 1 score or less, and by that 8 points or less. So touchdown, 2-point conversion. And Slippery Rock's game was decided by 13 points, which is close enough. Like in high school, a 2-score game is a close game a lot of times. It was just a really interesting week to watch from my end. Butler was kind of in control of that whole game the whole time, but University wasn't really out of it at any point. You could see that game going the opposite direction if there's just a turnover or a bad penalty or something like that. It was definitely close throughout. Freeport, which has had so much success on special teams all season with 7 touchdowns from Amos Glenn punt and kick returns, this week loses on a blocked extra point in overtime. Like they had second possession in overtime, score, go to kick the extra point, and it's blocked. And there's a really cool shot that we have of like the kicker kicking the ball, and the ball is over here, like clearly deflected in the other end or going the other direction. And one of the kids that blocked it is still way up in the air, and you can't even see where the ball would have hit his hands. So they just lose in an unfortunate way, but they actually came back from down 21-7. That game looked like it was out of hand, and then all of a sudden, late third quarter, going into the fourth, Freeport kind of mounts its comeback. Karn City got a win over Westinghouse that we didn't expect. I think all 3 of us picked Westinghouse to win that game. Yep. Same thing with like Butler. We all picked University to win that game, and Butler proved us wrong. And then North Catholic losing for the second week in a row. It seems like Logan Shade, their running back, is injured because he didn't start the game. He came in and got a couple carries and I think a short reception as well, but was not effective again. I don't think last week he had more than a couple carries, if any at all. So it seemed clear, like we've been talking about that passing game being so electric. Without Shade running the ball, they are struggling more than they did before. Now, the opponent they had 2 weeks ago in Imani Christian, really good. Like, that's not a bad loss to take. But Central Valley is a little bit of a different story. Like, understandable to lose that game, but at the same time, definitely a favorite that the Trojans were and should have won that game and didn't. And then you already touched on the Seneca Valley game. I mean, nothing more to really cover on that one.
It's, in a week where there was so many good games and exciting endings. I mean, for me, that Seneca Valley game is the best game I've covered up until this point. And 2 months from now, when we're looking back on the season as a whole, it may still be the best game I covered. It's just unfortunate for our team, Seneca, that they couldn't pull it out because they went up early, and then Canamac scores 19 straight points. They're up 19-7 at halftime. I didn't mention this. Lobig, the quarterback, came out first play of from scrimmage in the second half. Ken McMillan's on offense. He picks off the pass. First play from scrimmage, second half. Seneca Valley scores the first of 3 straight touchdowns. But then at the end, it was so back and forth, and the momentum at the end of the game just belonged to Ken McMillan, unfortunately.
You can't tell me momentum's not a thing. I feel like that's going to have to be a Beyond Butler next week. We're going to have a deeper conversation about that.
So do you guys want the updates from week 2 of our fantasy league?
Oh, sure. Can't wait.
Derek, do you think you made up ground this week?
Maybe like 3 points, yeah.
Oh, I can tell you that you definitely did better this week. Yeah. You got 39 points instead of 18.
I got 57 now.
So you have 57 total. I got another big week from third-round pick Aiden Yoakum. He got me 35 points, and I win the week with 69 to Brendan's 56. We do still have to check, and I've got a text out to Freeport's coach about Amos Glenn's rushing yards from last week. I do have his rushing yards from this week on Max Preps. So once we know what that is, it's going to change a little bit. But at present, I'm leading with 143 points to Brendan's 124 to Derek's 57.
Who are some famous players wearing number 4?
Brett Favre.
Who else?
Kevin Cobb.
That's a good one.
Is this your question or no? Is it something else?
I don't know where he's going with this.
Yeah, I'm interested.
It's got to have something to do.
Omar Jacobs.
Oh, I know where he's going with this.
Steelers backup quarterback from.
Oh, yeah.
I actually bought his card on Friday. Anyways, number 4 should be significant to you. That's how many games behind you are.
Another joke.
Derek's having a rough 2025 football season.
I just want to point out.
He's
I was not
going
to bring this up, but since he has to be a smart arse, one of the losses I have this year is I picked Knock to beat Fox Chapel. The kid for Knock hits the ball. He blocks the ball on the last second field goal attempt, and it still goes through
At
the
that
upright.
point, you should know that it's not your year.
Right, it's not my year.
But I do think, and this
Or
is
not their
sort of
year,
leading us
I mean.
into picks here, this was the hardest week of any this year in making picks. Like
this week we're coming up on?
I noticed this week we're coming up on.
I always think it's week 1. No matter what, week 1's the toughest for me.
There
Can't stop yawning.
are a handful of games I go against you and Jake on this week, which could work out in my favor, could not, but this is going to be, I think, the most evenly matched week of football we've had so far, which I could be wrong. They could all be blowouts, but from the looks of it, it was hard to make some of these picks last night.
Thanks for your wisdom there.
He's going to be mad at me the rest of the day.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you're covering a volleyball game tonight.
If
so
that's him mad, that's not bad.
Now I've seen Derek mad.
Are we?
it's pick time.
You don't like him when he's mad.
It's pick time.
Do it quickly
All right.
Lime
because we're
green like
going
Mountain
really
Dew.
long. All right.
We each got to have a week where we bring in our soundtrack. 1 week you, you.
But it's got to be licensed.
Well-
You got to understand these things. Here.
Actually, it only has to be licensed if you play more than 10 seconds.
No,
of it.
that's not true. That's not true. You can still get shut down for any seconds of unlicensed music on YouTube. That is false.
Interesting.
I know this because I've researched it,
Boo.
and that's
Okay,
why
then
I am
how
the
about we
producer.
come in and we sing our own rendition of that song?
Covers.
All right, you go first.
You
Acapella.
don't want to hear me sing.
Go ahead.
Also true. Hey friends, before we jump back in, just a quick reminder. If you're looking for all the latest high school football scores, schedules, news, and highlights around Butler County, make sure you check out this week's live coverage on our website. It starts every Thursday with features, previews, and more, and continues Friday evening with a live blog we update throughout the games and post-game recaps after that so you don't miss a thing. ButlerEagle.com/section/sports has everything from local highlights to player spotlights. So it's a great place to stay caught up on all things high school football, soccer, and the rest of the fall sports. That's ButlerEagle.com/section/sports. Also, if you're enjoying this podcast, it really helps us out when you rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen. And don't be afraid to tell your friends and family. We love word of mouth. It not only helps more people find us, but it also lets us know what you'd like to hear more of. Thanks for your support. Now let's get back to the show.
Our guest this week on the Eye on Sports podcast is Seneca Valley girls soccer coach Mark Perry. Mark is in his 10th season of guiding the Raiders and has tallied a 129, 40, and 12 record at the school. Seneca Valley has already clinched the Whitbill Section 3 4A title with the district playoffs right around the corner. Mark, we are pleased you are able to join us today. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you very much for having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk about our program and our season so far this year.
Absolutely. I know your coaching career began long before you came to Seneca Valley, and we're going to get into that in a bit, but we're going to focus first on the here and now, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this year's team. What has the team done well, and who are the leaders who have paved the way to the section crown?
Well, I'm very proud of so far our team this year. As in every year, you lose a lot of starters to graduation. We had to replace our whole defense this year, and we found a way to do that. For us to be where we are in the section, with the tough section that we're in with North Allegheny, Pine Richland, Butler, and North Hills, I think just says a lot about the season that we've had. Our leaders have really been our four captains, Carly Majeski, Maddie Marcotte, Cassie Leonard, and Bella Gianfrancisco. And they've sort of led us both on and off the field to the start of the season that we've had and the successful regular season that we've had so far.
One of those players you just mentioned, Carly Majeski, is an all-state midfielder. Can you talk about her ability, her versatility, and what it means to the rest of the team to have a player of that caliber on the field?
Carly's just a great player. I mean, she's like having a coach on the field. Our first couple of years, she played more of the holding midfielder for us. But this year, we've put her more into an attacking midfield position. So far, she has 18 of our 40 goals. And everybody knows who she is, and she's been tightly marked. She scored a goal in 11 of our 14 games. Really has had as good a year as any player I know in the Whitbill, especially with the competition that we play. She's committed to James Madison University, and I'm sure she'll go down there and do a great job. And like I said, she's been a great leader both on and off the field for us. And I think the other girls feed off of her in our games. And, I hate to think where we would be without her this year.
Your team began the season 0-1-2 against some tough competition. Since then, the girls have gone 9-2. In what areas of the team have you seen the most improvement over the last 6 weeks or so?
I think in our ability to score goals. Those first 3 games, the Altoona game, they had one shot and it went in, and we dominated the game and couldn't score. Cumberland Valley was a very good game. They're a top team out of District 3, and we lost with 30 seconds to go. Our defense was a little inexperienced, and they made a mistake. And then the Peters game, Peters is a top team. But since those games, defensively, we've been very strong with 8 shutouts in those 11 games. And we just find a way to win. We've been pretty good on set pieces. And then obviously when you have Carly, she found a way in a lot of those games to score the 1 or 2 goals that we needed to win. But I just think overall our defense has been strong, and we found ways to score some goals because we haven't dominated our opponents by any stretch, especially in section. We've won a lot of very close games. But I think those were the main reasons.
I'm going to go into a little bit of your coaching history here. Prior to arriving at Seneca Valley, you were the head coach at Hampton, Fox Chapel, and Central Valley. In your over 35 seasons as a head coach, you have tallied over 600 coaching victories, 28 section titles, 4 Whitbill crowns, and 2 state titles. You were inducted into the Western PA Sports Hall of Fame last year, becoming just the 6th high school soccer coach in a Hall of Fame that includes over 700 total members. What did that honor mean for you, Mark?
Oh, that was probably the biggest coaching honor that I've been able to receive. I mean, that Western PA Sports Hall of Fame has some of the top athletes professionally, college and high school that, have been in Western Pennsylvania over quite a number of years. It was great to go in. My father, who was the coach at Fox Chapel for a lot of years, is in that Hall of Fame. Other coaches like Bruno Schwartz, who was at North Allegheny, Gene Klein, who was at Quaker Valley. They've been like mentors to me. So for me to be honored and to go into that was definitely a highlight of my coaching career.
Mark, one question that is not on here. I wanted to get to this, though. I forgot to stick this in there. You coached at one point the boys and girls teams at a high school. Is that right?
I did for 2 years. I coached at Central Valley. They were nice enough to let me coach both the boys and girls at the same time. And it was quite an experience when you have a game every day of the week. And sometimes you had 2 games on Saturday. I would do a practice after school and get on a bus or have a little bit of a break and have a home game. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. It took its toll, obviously, doing that. I was pretty fortunate that we had a lot of talented players, and I had some good assistant coaches, and we were able to both years get in the playoffs. And I got to say, the WPIAL was very nice to us. They put our games back to back at the same field. Both years, only one of the teams qualified for the state playoffs because I would have had a tough decision to make because I don't think the state would have done like what the WPIAL did for us.
So obviously, you have a great passion for soccer to put this many years and all that time into it. Who was responsible for igniting that passion for soccer? How did that come about?
Well, my dad was a coach, and I knew from when I was very young that I wanted to be a coach and follow in his footsteps. I just was very fortunate because of his name to get hired at Hampton when I was 22 years old and had some success there. In 1990, Hampton boys won a state championship in AA, and Fox Chapel won a state championship in AAA on the same field, same day. And my dad retired after that game, and then I took his spot over at Fox Chapel, which was my dream job to follow in his footsteps. So it was 100% my father that got me into coaching, and that it has helped me, get where I am today.
That Hampton team in 1990, just to give our listeners a little bit of context and see how different things are connected, one of your players on that team was Blair Gerlach.
Yes.
Who is now the longtime and very successful head coach at Mars Girls. What do you remember about Blair? Do you remember his intensity? Because he's very intense as a coach. I know that.
Blair that year in 1990 was a freshman. He came off the bench for us. His brother, Graham, was a starter. He was a junior. But Blair was one of our top guys coming off the bench that year and contributed a lot to that success. That team just last week got inducted into the Hampton Sports Hall of Fame. So we were reliving some memories from that this past weekend.
Where did you play in high school and college, Mark?
I played at Springdale High School. Back when I played, there was only one classification. We were a very small school, and we played against Fox Chapel, Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair. And there was just one set. Only the top 4 teams made the playoffs in the WPIAL. You went right to the state. And then I was fortunate enough to play at Willing University, which was a D2 school down in West Virginia, and had an enjoyable and productive career down there.
So you alluded to that just a bit ago about your desire to be a coach, even during your playing career. What were you able to take part in any clinics where you were the instructor leading up to your actual head coaching career?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was a counselor at a lot of soccer camps that either my dad or Bruno Schwartz or Gene Klein led. And they would let me come and be counselors. A lot of them were day camps around the Pittsburgh area. And, that kind of got me started and get me the initiative to work with kids and to try to, make them better soccer players. And at the same time, I was having fun with the kids.
So I did a little bit of research last night. This is from the PIAA website. Since 1973, there have been 212 Pennsylvania state champions crowned in high school soccer between boys and girls and the different classifications. 56 of those have been WPIAL teams, which is more than 1 out of every 4. in general, Mark, you've been involved in the game for a lot of years. Was the eastern side of the state traditionally stronger in soccer? And how much, if so, how much has that gap been closed in recent years?
I think 20, 30 years ago, the eastern side was definitely. When you got a team from the western side that got to the finals and was able to win, it was a big thing. It didn't happen as much as it does now. I think there isn't much of a gap right now. If you look the last few years, obviously out east, they have a lot of bigger schools, but at the smaller classifications, the single A and double A, and even some triple A, I think the Whitfield has been very successful in the state playoffs. When I look at like Seneca boys were there 2 or 3 years in a row, in the last 10 years. So I don't think there's much of a gap now. I think that it's pretty evenly divided. I will say, like in our classification in 4A, we only get 2 teams that get qualified for the state playoffs, whereas out east in District 1, they get 7 because of how big they are, how many schools they have. So, a lot of schools out east are the bigger schools, but I don't think the gap is there. I don't think there's a gap anymore.
Just in terms of the way the game is played and the time the kids put in, what differences have you noticed in high school soccer since you became a head coach at Hampton?
Well, I mean, the kids who play high school soccer right now, it's a 10-month sport, some 12 months. The club soccer scene has gone, really, really crazy with the kids playing and traveling all over. Those things were not available. When I first started coaching, the kids who lived in Fox Chapel just played for Fox Chapel Youth Soccer. Now, 95% of my high school girls do not play for Seneca Valley Soccer Association. They all play for club teams. So, I think that's the biggest thing. And you're not seeing, especially at like 4A schools like Seneca Valley, we don't have many 3-sport athletes. Most of my girls our track coaches would love to have them, but they're off playing spring soccer. So I just think now all the sports have become very specialized, and kids today, especially at big schools, feel like they have to do it 10, 12 months of the year.
I know Heather Lewis, the AD at Seneca Valley, came in, I believe, in 2012. So that predated you for a few years before you got to Seneca. What's your relationship been just with the Seneca Valley Athletic Department as a whole, and what are your thoughts overall on your time with the Raiders?
Well, I mean, Heather's as top as athletic director as you'll find. I've been fortunate at all the schools I've been to have some very good athletic directors. She's very good because she supports all the sports as being equal, and girls soccer is treated the same as football. And that's important for, what some people don't consider soccer to be a main sport at some areas. But the whole athletic department is great. We have great facilities. It's one of the reasons I took the job was because of the facilities. I mean, it's like a small college campus, that we are able to practice and play our games on. And it kind of set the whole cycle for me because I've been at small schools with boys, big school with boys, small school with girls, and now big school with girls. So it kind of completes the whole circle of coaching. But I've loved my time at Seneca Valley. I live in Cranberry now, and, I don't see myself coaching anywhere else besides Seneca Valley.
So your soccer teams at Seneca have never missed the playoffs. You've made several Whitfield championship games. When you guys did get Whitfield championship, you won the Whitfield title in 2018. For a program that is always strong, what was it about that year's team that put it over the top?
Boy, that team that year, we found a way to win. We had a player, Brianna Valentovich, that just wouldn't let us not win games. In our semifinals against Upper St. Clair, the game was very even, and she got us a goal. And then we played down at Highmark against Peters, and we tied the game with 3 seconds to go in regulation. And Brianna scored on a free kick. And then we scored in the first minute of overtime to win that championship. I just thought that team was very relentless and found a way in the will to win games. And we had some very tough games that year. But, I don't think anyone will ever forget the final at Highmark, us tying the game with 3 seconds to go against Peters Township and then winning in the first minute of overtime.
One thing I will not forget about that game, I covered that game, and I want to see if you remember this. The seconds are clicking down in regulation. One of your players, I think it was Brianna, was awarded a free kick. You guys were awarded a free kick, and she took it. And this girl for Peters parked herself about 5 yards in front of the ball, and she was tying her shoe.
Yes.
And it's like 12 seconds, 11 seconds, 10 seconds. Finally, she gets out of the way. And Brianna buries that free kick that tied the game. And as you said, you guys won just a minute into overtime. I just wanted to ask you, like, when a situation like that arises, wasn't it a rule that you had to get out of the way? That girl could not have stayed there and like she was tying her shoe, right?
Yeah, what should have happened is the referee should have stopped the clock and give her a yellow card. Unfortunately, the refs didn't do that. And in Peters Township, trying to delay the game so we didn't get the kickoff. If watching the film after the game and talking to Brianna, they were so worried about that their wall was set up incorrectly. And if you remember, Brianna just hit a hard low shot to the corner, and their whole wall jumped as she kicked it, and it kind of went under one of the players and went in. So I guess most people would say it was probably poetic justice that happened that way after what they were trying to do to delay the game.
Yeah, it's the fact that you guys ended up winning it just kind of became a footnote, but I'm glad you guys didn't lose because a girl took 20 seconds to tie her shoe 5 yards in front of Brianna. Mark, a lot of people know you as a longtime high school coach in the region. That's how I know you. When you're not focused on soccer, how do you pass the time? What are your other interests?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, soccer is my life. I run the indoor soccer arena just outside of Cranberry on Freedom Road for the last 30 years. And I'm one of the directors of the Beadling SCS Soccer Club. So for me, it's pretty much 24/7, 365. And it has been for over 30 years. But truthfully, I'm pretty much a sportsaholic. Follow all the sports teams. Love to play golf. My golf game isn't as good as I would like, but both my parents were phys ed teachers, so sports was part of our life, and I think I've just followed that path. But besides sports and soccer, there isn't much else to my life.
Mark, I appreciate you joining us today. So, are we ready to pick here, or are we just going to...
I'm ready.
Okay.
Laura's trying to taunt us today.
The first game of the week is a very rare Friday afternoon game. We got Butler.
All right, I can rock with this.
Butler traveling down to Couple Stadium on the south side of Pittsburgh, taking on Taylor Alderdice. 3:30 start. Brendan, get off your phone and make your pick.
My dad was calling me. I'm sorry.
Oh, is that what I
was letting him
heard?
know we're in the middle of our podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's
going on?
I think the Golden Tornado dealt with a pretty solid university team last week. They had size, they had speed, and I don't think Alderdice is quite up to par with them. So I think Eric Christie's team continues its successful season, and Butler wins 28-20.
Jake.
I went back and forth on this game. I do see a world in which I'm going to say this is like a 51-49 coin flip almost game for me. Last year's game was 7-0 Taylor Alderdice on a Thursday night. I don't think it's going to be this low scoring this year. I have Taylor Alderdice winning 33-20, but I think it's going to be close throughout.
So earlier this year, and I know this, common opponent thing doesn't always work, but we know because we saw it. Butler played Hollidaysburg this year and got crushed 33-6.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Alderdice lost to Hollidaysburg, but that game was 16-14. It was a 2-point game entering the fourth quarter. Now, again, that was a few weeks ago, but I also know that Butler's only played one road game this year, and it was the opening game of the season at Shaler. They've played, 6 straight games now at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's at Couples Stadium, which is kind of a unique environment, and it's an afternoon game. I think Butler's going to be a little bit out of their element this week. I think they'll keep it close, but I see the Dragons winning 27-19. Brennan, your game this week, Mars at McKeesport. Go.
Skipped one there, actually. Hopewell at Freeport was up next, wasn't it?
Well, they're third on my list.
Oh,
Just
okay.
go
Well,
with
Mars
what
at
he
McKeesport.
says.
Mars whacked West Mifflin a few weeks ago, who kept it close to the Tigers last week. I know you guys are going to talk about McKee Sports star running back, so I won't. But I think Mars wins this one in defensive battle, 14-13.
Jake?
He's not getting off his Mars bandwagon. I'm going to take a step off of it just for this week. Keemon Spell's got Mars's number. I know he's probably still coming, not quite 100%, but he's rushed for 202 and 280 yards last season, plus 5 total touchdowns in their matchups. I think he's still going to be a force this week. Plants defense is probably a little bit better, but I have McKee Sport a little bit better than last year, but I have McKee Sport winning 37-31 in a shootout.
So Spell was injured earlier this year. According to what I found on the internet, he's been back now for 2 games, and in those 2 games, he has rushed for 271 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mars's defense is really good. I understand that. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going with the home team here as well. I'm taking McKee Sport to win 27-21. Now we get to your Freeport game, which is actually my game on Friday. Who do you like?
I never pick against Freeport.
Hopewell playing.
I can't remember the last time I picked against Freeport, actually. But Hopewell quarterback James Armstrong, he has offers from Penn State, Pitt, and North Catholic, and he's only a sophomore. He's kind of one of the names emerging around here. I think that air game pushes them past the Yellow Jackets, who have kind of used that opportunistic special teams defense. I don't think that works out this week. I think Hopewell wins 35-24.
Jake?
One thing to piggyback off of that, Armstrong's done a really good job spreading the ball around. 5 different receivers have at least 14 receptions, which is insane at this level of football. 230 yards each. There is a little bit of disparity there, but I think it's all between like 15 and 22 catches for those top 5 guys. I think Freeport's going to win this one, but with the way that they kind of struggled last week, I would not be surprised if Hopewell does pull this one out. I'm picking, though, the Yellow Jackets to win 42-37.
So Hopewell is actually in the Western Hills Conference, which we are familiar with because that's where North Catholic resides. Hopewell still has a shot of clinching an automatic playoff berth. In Whitbill Class 3A, that would be by finishing in the top 3 in their conference. I'm looking at their schedule. I'm looking at who's ahead of them in the conference standings. I believe if Hopewell does make the playoffs, they're going to have to get it by earning one of the wild card spots. There's 3 wild card spots that the Whitbill committee votes on, and they basically look at each team's resume. Each team that does not make the playoffs automatically, they look at the resumes and say, okay, here's 1 wild card, here's 2. You know how impressive it would be on Hopewell's resume if they win at Freeport, knowing how strong of a team Freeport is. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think both teams are going to play well, but I see the home team, Freeport, coming out with a slim 28-26 victory. All right, the Battle of the Rockets. Brendan, Slippery Rock at Titusville. Which rocket crashes and burns here?
Larry Wonder's Rockets have lost 2 in a row against – or wait. My bad. Read that wrong. Titusville has lost 2 in a row, and I think Larry Wonder's is –
Boy,
you're
twice struggling. They have lost 2 in a row.
Slippery Rock's lost 2 in a row.
Yes.
I worded this really weirdly in my pick. It was late last night. It was like 11 o'clock. But
Lay
I
off
think
the doobies.
Slippery Rock breaks their 2-game losing streak against a team who's been outscored 83-17 over the past 2 outings. Slippery Rock wins 29-16.
Jake.
42.
Titusville's only win came against a team that's averaging less than 8 points a game. Not exactly a strong resume here. I've got Slippery Rock getting its first Region 4 victory of the season, 28-20.
Doug Popovic, who's the quarterback for Slippery Rock. Cole Scott, Owen Long, come on, you're on my fantasy team. I think the Slippery Rock's ground game is going to be the difference in this game. I think they're going to have a big night against Titusville, and I'm taking the road team, Slippery Rock, to win 34-17. All right. I found out a little bit of information about this game last night. I don't know if you heard this. It might have been after you left the office. Montauk's playing at Union City. They're scheduled to play at Union City on Saturday, 7 o'clock. I'm going to be up there if the game is played. Union City's game last week against Mercier's Prep, they forfeited because they only had 13 healthy players. So I'm going to call tomorrow to find out, number 1, if the game's still going on, and number 2, exactly where the stadium is up there, because I've never been there.
I could use you in the office on Thursday, just, happy birthday.
I'm going on there. My dad's getting a bunch of wood loaded.
He doesn't want to be with me.
I have to unload the wood for my dad, the fireplace wood. He's like an invalid now, so I gotta help.
He's got to lay the wood.
And you're trying to set him up with me.
Hey.
Hay is for horses, straw is cheaper. Give me something better than that.
He still has a great heart.
Listen, I've dated a lot of guys with great hearts.
And he knows how to cook Denny Moore, so you're set there.
I can cook. Wow. I'm out.
If the
I'm
game's
leaving.
played,
Let me know when you're done.
if the game's played, Brendan, Montauk at Union City, who do you like?
I'm very taken aback just with all of that just now.
Today's been a show.
This is turning out to be a pretty solid season for Clay Colmeyer's Warriors. They could get their 3rd win of the season here, and I think they do. Montauk 23, Union City 14.
Jake?
I did not know the stat that you pulled there, Derek. So, but I'm going to honor the pick that I made before you gave us that information and stick with Montauk winning this game 21-14. Now with that, I think the score is going to be a little bit higher. But I think Brendan Sankey is going to be the key to this. He's been really good running the ball for a team that is trying to get its footing all year. As long as he gets some traction, they're going to win this game.
Yeah, Montauk, their 2 wins this year against Coudersport and Bucktail. Those are 2 teams that they were able to manhandle up front, and I think they're going to be able to do the same with Union City here. I like the Warriors to pick up their 3rd win of the season, 45-14. And I really do hope it's played because I'm looking forward to going. I like going new places. You've been covering sports as long as I have, 38 years? Yeah.
Where's Union City at?
It's south of Erie, but it's not off of 79. It's like backwoods Erie County. Yeah.
Oh, you might find some good
It's not
barbecue joints down there.
It's not often I get to go to someplace new these days, and I'm looking forward to going to Union City.
It's gonna be new, all right. Wow, that's a trek.
Last 6 games we're picking here. Just your pick, Brendan. We got Seneca Valley going to Hempfield.
You've been moving around today.
Hey,
Seneca Valley 21, Hempfield 20.
Jake?
Hempfield 38, Seneca Valley 24.
Hempfield 30-27. Knock at Hampton, Jake.
Hampton 43-7.
Brendan.
Hampton 28-6.
Hampton 38-12. North Catholic at Beaver, Jake.
North Catholic 35-21.
Brendan.
North Catholic 28-27.
Taking North Catholic 41-23. Summit Academy at Northgate, Jake.
Northgate 43-21.
Brendan.
Summit Academy 27-21.
I'm taking Northgate 26-24. Brockway at Carn City, Brendan.
Carn City 33, Brockway 10.
Jake.
Garden City 35-17.
Taking Carn City 44-17. And last, but certainly not least, our last undefeated team, Union AC Valley, hosting Smethport, Brendan.
Union AC 35-7.
Jake.
Falcon Knights 49-17.
Falcon Knights 51-13. I do want to throw one thing out here. Don't look now, but Summit Academy's playing Northgate this week. That's a winnable game. I'm picking Northgate, but it's a very winnable game for Summit. If they win, they're right in the thick of the playoff chase in that conference. Right in the thick of it. We could be talking about the playoff-bound Knights here in a couple weeks.
Wow.
And then we're going to send Brennan to their game wherever it is, week 1 of the playoffs.
I think I went against the grain on 5 picks there, so I could take a nice lead if everything breaks out.
Or fall right back down to Derek.
Past Derek. Just trying to give him some company.
Yeah, by the way, I went 4-6 last week. First losing record in a full slate of games I've ever had. I'm embarrassed.
So, Derek.
I feel for you. It's okay.
So
I was writing the other day about Tom Brady. I forget what. And I looked up how many first-team All-Pro nods he had during his time in the NFL. The number's pretty surprising, I think. How many was it?
First team All-Pro. I'm just going to take a guess at this right now.
do it.
4.
Oh, close. 3. Could you greatest quarterback of all time, and only 3 All-Pro nods in 24 years.
Think
of
about
play.
it. I mean, how many quarterbacks are named All-Pro? I think it's 2 every year, right?
Yeah.
2.
And he was going up against Peyton Manning.
Well, only 1 first-team All-Pro quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are Peyton Manning, Rex Grossman. You know.
Yeah. The legends of the game, Rex Grossman. Donovan McNabb probably got one of those years. But, I mean, like the first 8 years of Brady's career, he was a game manager, basically. And then they got Randy Moss, and he effectively had like a second Hall of Fame career after that.
Does that make it more impressive that he, even during that era, like,
Oh, yeah.
he still dominated in the way he did?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I can't believe he came that close with 4. Like, that's a pretty
I
good
still
guess
got it
on the
wrong.
board.
See, I'm I'm coming off my worst week of picking games I've ever had. I'm 2-5 now in the trivia. I'm getting my arse kicked in the fantasy football thing that Jake came up with. The only thing that's keeping me afloat right now is the Steelers are 3-1. If they were off to a bad start, man, I'd
And
call
you're
Jake.
kind of pushing it with me today, just a little.
Arse.
A couple little.
Arse is not a bad word.
Is that Irish?
Time for Brendan's Beyond Butler.
Okay.
Brendan, go to Beyond Butler right now, or I'm going to kick your arse.
I'm turning off the microphones. They're turning off. It's off. It's off. You can't say.
Just
You
all
can,
fighting each other today.
Welcome to Beyond Butler, our weekly segment where we talk about something outside of Butler County sports. Derek's Penn State Nittany Lions lost an embarrassing game against UCLA last week. I was pretty happy about that. Jake is always calling for Nick Sirianni to
Be
be
fired.
canned. So my question here for both of you guys is what is the breaking point for a coach to get fired? I think it's different in the NFL and college, obviously, with the finances that go into it. But if Penn State fans had their way after that game, I don't think James Franklin would have made it out of LA.
No.
there's no I in team, though. Just going to say that. I'm going to put that out there.
And there's no Q in affiliate, so who cares? I would say, look, well, first of all, I understand that this is all contract speak. I just hate the idea of a buyout. If you're not doing your job, you should be fired. Just boom, you're done. I know people are going to say, well, it's in the contract. I think it's $5 million. That's how much Penn State would owe Franklin, like right now, if they got rid of him.
I think
What?
it's a much larger number. I
Yeah,
saw
let me
something
post
around like in the tens of millions. They would owe.
Oh,
him
it's
still.
definitely.
I think it's 70.
I mean, all the elite Power 4 coaches are
I think
tens of
Is it
millions.
70 million?
I'll look it up.
So if they let him go,
He still gets paid 70 million.
Yeah. And those numbers always decrease throughout the contract.
Well, when was his last contract? Sir?
2 years ago, I think.
What?
And of course, Google's not working.
What is my
right now.
buyout?
make it make
$1.
sense.
Bag of peanuts.
Qdoba
Make it
fajita.
make.
Or Chipotle
sense.
fajita, sorry.
I don't understand.
I don't like the idea of the buyout. To me, any job, if you're not doing your job, just cut ties with him. And you don't know him anything.
It's
Look
to
at the
give-
money he's made in his career. He's not going to be starving.
I think one of the reasons why I can see it being valid to have these buyout clauses, though, is to create some level of commitment from the school to the coach as well. Because as we know, like the high school level, coaches are at the mercy of a school board and athletic director. And sometimes we've seen school boards that will just step in and find a way to get rid of a coach, no matter what they've been doing, or how successful they've been, or how they've been treating athletes, good or bad. Same thing can happen at the college level. Of like, this is some security for the coaches of, there's all this craziness that I have to manage to make this team successful, but you can come in at any point, or board of directors can be changed at any point and just decide they don't like me, or they just don't want me here for any reason, and get rid of you.
But let me ask you this: in your opinion, and what if it wasn't for the buyout? Well, for whatever it is, if it wasn't for the buyout being as high as it is, would Franklin still be coach at Penn State right now?
I
can't believe he would be.
I think he would be, but his seat would be on fire instantaneously. Because the loss to Oregon's one thing. Losing this game, you go from being like, all right, you just clearly can't beat top 10 teams, to what are we doing here? But he's got a long enough track record of getting into New Year's Six bowl games over the last, 10 years he's been coach, 12 years, that it would buy him some grace to take a hit like this. Saban's lost to, not this current version of Vanderbilt, but he's lost to like really bad teams once or twice as Alabama coach, and he still survived. Franklin would survive this, but it would be, you better turn this ship around right now, or you might not have a job at the end of the year.
This is his 12th year because he started in 14. So, Brennan, well, you're the one that asked the question, but what are your thoughts on this?
I think that it's a knee-jerk reaction to want to fire a coach after a game, but in Franklin's case, sure, he wins the games that he's supposed to, which is the
not
big,
this past week.
but historically he's been the guy that doesn't drop those sorts of games. Like, wouldn't you rather have a coach like, I think Urban Meyer once lost to Purdue. Urban Meyer was still a coach. Or maybe, I don't think it was Day yet when they lost to Purdue. You remember with Dwayne Haskins?
Yes.
And that really damaged Ohio State's playoff chances. But wouldn't you rather a coach that can win those big games? Like, even last year in the playoffs, the two teams they beat were Boise State and SMU. And SMU was literally not even in the ACC for a year before that.
It was easily the easiest playoff schedule that any team had.
And then, I mean, they competed with Oregon or Notre Dame. They competed with Oregon in the loss.
You were pretty high on Boise State entering that game last year. I remember you loved their running back.
Ashton Genty, because he had the stance with Michael Myers.
You liked the way he played.
Yeah,
but
Penn State is supposed to be Boise State. Like, you have better players. They're in a smaller conference. Like, I don't know. I think at this point, the Oregon loss is what would have bothered me more than the UCLA loss. Like, he can't win those games. And as an Ohio State fan, I'm fine with that because I like beating Penn State every year and being able to see my brother and friends kind of spiral out of control. But
let me give you a name of a coach who has proven he can beat not just highly ranked teams, number 1 teams or number 2 teams. He had a team that beat Miami one year, and it led to them being knocked out of the national title picture. He beat Clemson one year, who went on to win the national championship. But in October, when they beat him,
I know where you're going with this.
Pat Narduzzi.
But
so you would take Pat Narduzzi?
He is the coach that loses any sort of game. Like, they lost 5 straight last year. After they lost 5 straight, they should just boot him out the door. Like, if you lose 5 straight games as a college coach, you're a bad coach.
Actually, 6 straight.
So
including the bowl game, 6 straight.
Yeah, then at the bowl game that I was at, that went into like 56 overtimes. So, yeah.
James Franklin's buyout is worth $8 million per year left on his contract. He's got 7 years left.
Okay, I thought
so. It's a $56 million buyout right now.
Okay.
So
do we want to take up a collection here? You want to see him going? You want to
keep him there as long as possible. He can't win. So.
What do you want me to do?
The millionaire donors to these big Power 4 schools can
let me get this straight.
Play games with the coaching staff.
You're saying that you believe in reality Penn State is this sleeping giant, but they're being held down by a bad coach who you want to see stick around so they stay bad.
They have one of the best rosters in college football this year. They had a roster that everybody was comparing to last year's Ohio State roster.
That's a compliment, though. You don't compliment Penn State, Brennan.
They're a good team, but they're not going to win the national championship this year.
It's kind of
let's mark this down. Hold on. October 7th, Brendan says Penn State's not going to win the national championship.
Put it down because it's not happening. There's 0 chance.
Oh, I know that. They're probably not going to end the season ranked the way they're going. They still have to play Indiana, who's the best team in the Big Ten.
I think we talked about this yesterday, though, too. I just don't know who else we would hire. And it's not necessarily an excuse to keep him either, but we know that there aren't many elite college football coaches out there. They're very few and far between. And usually the guys who win that aren't Nick Saban are
at Ohio State.
It's so flash in the pan. Guys will be good for 4 years and then they fall. There's no sustained success. It's very rare to find a Patriots dynasty, an Alabama dynasty. That's why we call them dynasties.
Here's the one thing I would be very interested in. I'm not going to take the time to look it up because I don't feel like doing it. But when you look at Franklin's track record against, was it top 10 teams, 4-21 now? Has there ever been a coach that has been that bad, that inept against really good teams, and then all of a sudden one year he just wins a national championship? I don't know if we could find a coach that has that poor of a track record.
Especially for that long of a time.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking, this is his 12th season, so. Penn State.
Thank you, James Franklin.
I was thinking maybe Penn State does play Pitt this year in like the, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper 80s Bowl, whatever.
Good love.
6-6
bowl,
Pitt against
you
6-6 Penn State.
I'd watch that bowl game.
Penn State would opt out of that bowl.
Penn State. Okay. So we already did the trivia question. I lost. I'm now 2-5 on the season. We're going to talk a little bit of high school golf and tennis here. Jake, you're going to give us a rundown of golf. I've got tennis. Brendan, you're going to add your expertise on both sports. But, Jake, where are we at right now in golf? It's already in the postseason. Give us an update.
Very deep into the postseason. We have the Whitfield Team Championships on Thursday. We had the first round start yesterday and then Tuesday, today, which I think probably got rained out at this point, Wednesday as well. So we'll have our Whitfield Team Champions by the end of this week. As far as what else has happened on the individual side of things, in District 9, AC Valley Union's Joe Rapp won his first District 9 title. He won by 3 strokes. Funny little anecdote from him that I got when talking to him on Sunday is he was not happy with his short game and his chipping, which is generally what he thinks is a strength of his. And within hours after winning, going out for a celebratory dinner with family, he was out at the golf course, which is like right in his backyard because they live on a course, and out practicing some of that short stuff to try to get better, and then was out on the golf course again on Sunday. And I was like, dude, you couldn't enjoy this at all? And he's like, kind of, but no. So he's ready for states. His goal this year is to finish top 10. Ethan Crooks is the second Freeport boy to ever make states as an individual. He was top 3 on Monday in the Whitfield team semis to help lead them to their first final since, I believe, 2015. Joining them in the 2A Whitfield final will be North Catholic as well, which had Eric Proy and Christopher Faber also make the individual state tournament. Seneca Valley had 2 competing to try to make the state individual tournament in Anthony Cardozi and Josh Marcourt, but they missed the cut, and the Raiders are in the team semifinals as of this recording. North's Riley Consul on the girls' side is the lone county girl in Whitfield to make it to states. She will be going there along with the others to Penn State golf courses, blue and white courses on October 20th and 21st.
On the tennis, North Catholic, they have a doubles team that just finished second in the Whitfield. And because they finished second, they will be competing in the state tournament, which begins October 21st. We're talking about 2 sophomores here, Evelyn March and Makaria Stahl. They played Winchester Thurston's Veronica Zinski and Marin Bukanovich last week in the final, the Whitfield final. And get this, North's doubles duo won the first set 6-0. They were up in the second set 5-4. I mean, they were that close.
Yeah.
They were 1 game away from winning a Whitfield title. But the duo from Winchester Thurston won the last 3 games of the second set, and then they won the last set 6-1 to claim the championship. But I think one thing obviously right now North is focused on the here and now, what their doubles team can do moving forward. They're going to be in the state tournament. But these 2 girls for North, we're talking 2 sophomores here. So you obviously got to believe that they're going to be 2 cornerstones of the program over the next 2 years. Again, that's Evelyn March and Makaria Stahl competing in the state tournament beginning October 21st. We also have North Catholic's entire team competing in the Whitfield Class AA team tournament, which begins tomorrow now, is it?
Yep.
They're the number 2 seed. They face Blackhawk at Cranberry Park. That was originally scheduled for today. It's been moved to tomorrow, Wednesday, October 8th. Quaker Valley's the number 1 seed in the team tournament, North Catholic's 2, so we'll see how that turns out. I want to throw this out there, one more bit of information. The second straight year that North has had a doubles team finish second in the Whitfield. Last year it was Bria Kelly and Katie Hardy. And we'll see how these girls do moving forward. I think they got a shot to make a run. And, again, they're both sophomores, so they're both young, and they're going to be there for a while for North Catholic. Brendan, golf, tennis, you're a pro. What are your thoughts?
Cranberry Park? Is that Graham Park?
No.
Cranberry Township Park.
Do you know?
It's
you
right.
know where the Ernie Mashuda Fire Hall is?
I bring Rambo to the dog park behind there.
Okay.
I forgot about that place there. They actually, I think, put in new courts recently. So,
well, there you go.
Yep.
With that, you said I'm an expert on tennis. I actually did wait my entire college newspaper experience to cover the girls' tennis team for Slippery Rock my last semester. I wanted to cover football, but yeah. Anyways, I've always said that's very funny that I waited to cover football and instead I covered a sport that I had not much experience with at that point. But with golf, I talked to both of the Seneca Valley guys after they failed to make states. Honestly, 2 of my tougher interviews recently. Like, I'm not someone that if I lose, I want someone to come up and like talk to me afterwards. So I understood that. Like, both of them thought they could do better, and what I thought was interesting was it was Cardosi's second time in the Whitfield individual championships, and it was Marquardt's first. So I tried to talk to them about like Josh said that he was going to talk to Anthony about what it takes to get back next year, and hopefully we'll see him again. A little bit better performance. It was at Butler Country Club. It was a course they were familiar with. I think they played like 3 or 4 times each. So It's not an easy course from what I hear either, with how fast the greens are. They
Butler
mentioned-
Country Club.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And I remember some of the same golfers who were there for U.S. Open qualifiers. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that I covered. They said the same thing. So, yeah, both very tough sports, both sports that I don't plan on ever becoming versed athletically in. I write about them. I don't think I'll be serving a tennis ball or making putts anytime soon.
Hey, whose decision was it to put you on tennis and not football?
COVID's.
COVID.
Yeah, because COVID came and that the whole season was canceled for Division II, and I was never able to cover football on a regular basis for Slippery Rock, which was pretty disappointing.
I do think we should mention that the day that this episode drops is Brendan's birthday. October 9th.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Are you going to
listening.
be 26?
Thank you. No, 27. 24, right? I look
Thank you.
23.
No, have you ever heard of the 27 Club in music?
Oh, man.
No.
Oh, you got Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. They all died when they were 27
Well,
years old.
that's
Juice
called
WRLD,
the-
Juice
kind of a
WRLD didn't even
downer.
make it there.
It's called the 27 Club. So
Don't
hey,
worry, Derek and I survived.
Look
You'll
at
be
it
okay.
this way: you're at least making it till Thursday. After that,
Hey,
we
you
can't
know what I
promise
did on
anything.
my 27th birthday? I danced on an Irish bar in Hell's Kitchen. Yeah.
You know what I'm doing on my 27th birthday? I'll be in the office here on my 27th birthday. Tomorrow I get to...
Oh,
I'm
hey, I have a
celebrating-
birthday gift for you.
Hey, didn't you cover? Hey, Jake, last April, didn't you cover a track meet on your birthday?
Yep.
Did you?
The Butler County Classic.
Yep.
Did they have a cake for you?
They did not.
No,
No.
We should-
tomorrow I'm celebrating by...
I even told
I was
Cyber
going
he
to say,
didn't
what are
bring
you
one.
doing?
I took the day off tomorrow. I'm going to drive around to different card shops around the area and look at football cards. So
Okay.
There you
then
go.
maybe a dinner.
How many cards do you have total?
I have not counted them out, but I'd say between 15 and 20,000 at this point.
What?
Wow.
Where do you keep those? Do you have like binders of
I
them
have
and bookcases?
I have boxes.
So he keeps his in boxes.
You
which-
should have them in those like
the
things.
binders, but those are very expensive.
I used to have
Very
binders.
expensive.
Yeah, I bet
I
they
used to
are.
have binders and sleeves, but I couldn't deal with sorting the
Do you
cards
look at
anymore.
them? Are they alphabetized?
They're going to be sorted by player at some point, yes. Whenever I have the
Like
time.
you could have like an A box and a B box.
Not by boxes, but I have like tabs. of,
A1,
like-
A2.
Yeah.
The more
Now,
you
is it by-
buy, the harder it's going to be to sort all these.
Yeah,
so
you
better
gotta
get
start
started.
now. Create your
Yeah.
system now.
Well,
I
Bailey's
have-
always there to help.
I
so.
have mine in binders. I probably between baseball, football, I probably have 30 binders, and
Wow.
the binders are like $14 a pop. So
Yeah, and then even
Jeez.
like the sleeves, because you put them
the
in,
sleeves, yep.
and they're double sided, right? So you can see the front and the back of the card.
There is a
Yikes!
and it's
It's
been in our paper actually, so I'm not really giving free advertising here. There is a card
see.
expo on Saturday at the Tesla MedBed Center that I'm going to. So
I will be going to celebrate a
You'll be
very
there.
early. No. I will be going to
That's
celebrate a very
right.
early birthday for my wife because we're going to see her parents, and so since
Well,
we're
an
seeing them-
anniversary's coming up
if
soon,
you don't
isn't
go
it?
up to the
2.5
backwoods
weeks,
of
yep.
Erie,
Yep,
you should
right.
come.
It's been almost a freaking year.
Ask
Can't
my
believe
wife
that.
some money. Beth, can I send some money to buy some football
Really, you
cards?
only need like $5. You could leave with 50 cards if you want. So
How about you take me out to dinner?
All right.
And on that note,
Goodbye.
next week.
We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.